Hey everybody, Simone here with Bulletproof Business Growth, as always with some ideas and insights what to pay attention to when you are growing and scaling your business. So last week we talked a little bit about how you master your Q2. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I highly recommend it because it'll set you up to get everything in the right place, prepared and focused so that you can really be a great leader to your team and that you can stay focused, making sure that you truly actually achieve those outcomes that you're looking for. Now, part of that, of course, is that you can't do this alone. So it's about getting you in a place where you're only doing the strategic stuff. So we have to reinvent delegation because it's about you to stop wearing all the hats and to develop a self-led team that can truly strategize, execute, and excel for you. So now we have to really work this so that all this is not on you anymore, but that you're shifting responsibility to them. Now, you might wonder how you're going to do that. You know, if you're like most business owners, you are probably the bottleneck of your business because you're the single point of failure right now because you're holding everything on your shoulders. So the only thing that changes that is when you really get into a place of strategic growth, but that means you can't be stuck in micromanaging anymore. So it's really time to reinvent delegation so that your team actually can help you and be much more effective so that you can focus on the stuff that really counts. So that means you are no more the overworked hub of all the information, all the action, all the decisions, all the fixing mistakes and fighting fires, but you're becoming the leader of a self-led team. Now that's an oxymoron a little bit. You're the leader because you still have to give them the outcomes and the direction, but they're leading the execution, the effort, and making sure that the results actually happen. So this is where the team starts driving results with minimal input and involvement from you. So number one really is here, the number one step that you have to take is you have to acknowledge that what you're doing right now is not working. And this is now where you're not drowning in daily tasks anymore. And so you have to visualize that piece, right? Because it might be really foreign to you because this is where you are. You're drowning in daily tasks and you have no space for planning, for getting strategic. And every day just feels kind of like Groundhog Day. So the number one step to freedom is to really have a little talk with yourself and go, you can't keep going like this. If you want different results, you can't keep going in the same way that you have been. And so the second step is where you audit every single role and project that is on your team currently. So you have to really define here what the 10 to 20% are in every role and in every project that you still have to own, that you are indispensable, that only you can do. So a lot of times with our clients, what happens is, you know, they do some basic delegation, which just basically is tasks. And the team starts executing, but anytime there is a hiccup, anytime there's a problem, anytime there's challenges, anytime something goes wrong, the business owner jumps in and just kind of takes over. So this is where you have to learn what is really stuff that only you can do and what is the stuff that your team can actually do all that. So you have to identify what's the 10 or 20% that is only you and what's the 80% in these projects, in these roles that your team absolutely can do with, of course, the appropriate amount of training, because that's very, very important. So you have to help your team members understand first what the outcome is of what they're doing. So they need the bigger picture. They need the context of where it's going and why you're doing what you're doing. But they need to understand all the pieces that fit together so that they can make better decisions, that they can make decisions on their own so that they're empowered to drive something forward. And that doesn't work if they just have small bits of information. So we have to help them understand first what the outcome is, because this is where you train them to become strategic. So you show them how you think through stuff so that you get from the outcome, reverse engineer it, and then you get to the steps of how you get from A to B. So you have to help them map out the project step by step so that they understand how you got there, so that they can follow your thinking and do this on their own going forward. Without this, they'll always be dependent on you. So because we're really going here from just focusing on small tasks to being able to handle entire projects, because now they actually understand all the steps there are involved, all the context that they need so that they can do the best possible job for you. So this is the number one focus, where you tell them the vision with them as strategic collaborators of the project. So this is a complete new mindset for them, so that they actually understand what company strategy is, how they contribute to company strategy, what the outcomes are that they're driving, and what authority that they have to make better decisions on their own. So you have to share with them why you believe that they can step up, that they can lead this, that they're absolutely able to do this stuff without you. Because so far, if you've been in the camp of, micromanaging, even if it's just been something that you consider an emergency measure, that means they are relying on you every time something goes wrong. So that breeds being dependent. Versus right now, with this new way of approaching things, you're inspiring confidence. And that's really what you need to help them achieve, what you need to help them build. They need to build the confidence that they can execute without asking you every time, without getting approval, without having to check in. So it's really that switch from inspiring confidence versus this micromanaging dependence that you may have created before. So this is where you really come in, you explain your vision for how we're going now from this ordinary basic level of delegation, which is basically just task management, to them owning bigger and bigger pieces in the business, in the strategic execution of what the company actually does. So that means we're going first from handling pure tasks to actually owning whole projects. That means like a whole workflow. They understand from A to Z, and they're always perpetually owning this. So they're responsible from A to Z. And once they have that, they can start owning entire areas in business, like functional business areas, entire business areas, so that you can more and more just step out. So this is where you come in. Instead of the person who's solving all the problems and stepping in, you're becoming the coach and the translator, so that you can explain to them what this transition means to them and how that's going to come about. So of course that means they will need training, and that's really, really important. It's not about you just dumping them into the deep end of the pool, but it's about getting them prepared, giving them the training, giving them the coaching and the mentoring that they need so they can truly step up and knock it out of the park for you. So that means you have to be consistent. So now leadership comes really into play, because regular feedback here is what they absolutely need so that they can do a good job for you. That means also they need regular check-ins. So once you start on this track, it's the beginning part. It's not like you're immediately saving time. You actually have to put in time in the beginning, because this is how you build the confidence. This is how you build the training. This is how you build the leadership to help them really go from dependent on you to being independent contributors. So you want to observe how they're stepping up, how they're leaning in, how they're taking over, how they're growing with this. So you let go as they step up. And this is absolutely essential. If you really want to get to a place where you gain the freedom back that you absolutely need, this is step one. So what's important is when you have hiccups, you want to deal with them respectfully. You want to pull the person aside. You want to have a conversation. You want to coach them through it. You want to help them understand what wasn't quite working right and what they could have done better and how, versus, you don't want to come up with any punitive action here, because that's certainly not going to get you where you want to be. So anytime something goes really well, there's a big win there, stepping up, they're going out of their way to do something that they wouldn't have ordinarily done. That's really the time when you want to put it on heavy. You want to praise publicly. You want to be exuberant about that. You want to let them know that what they're doing is working. And that's not so much inflating their ego or feeding their ego. It's about letting them know, hey, what you're doing is working, which means they're going to do more of that, which of course is really good for you. So that's really, really important. So what we're calling this is positive micromanaging, because now you're just pointing out the things that are working so they do more of it. And when you think about these check-ins, right, the check-ins are not to discuss step by step what they're doing. It's not to check on the status quo. It is for going brainstorming, going through strategy, asking them questions so that they come up with their own strategy, helping them develop this critical thinking that they truly need to have so that they can really step up for you. So those check-ins, the focus is here, how can I unblock you? How can I remove roadblocks for you? So you can come in as the mentor who can take care of the pieces that they cannot and empower them to take care of the pieces that they can, and help them making that distinction. Because for you to trust in your team going forward and truly letting go of the reins, establishing this trust in your team is crucial. And you can only do that when you see them making the right decisions. So we want to get to a place where you support them and ask them questions and coach them through a situation versus critiquing their performance. Because your goal here is that they learn how to solve problems before they even become problems. Because that's really when you can truly let go and trust them that they'll do the right thing. So this is where the team starts thinking a new level of critical thinking, where they become strategic, they uncover problems before they become problems, and they actually solve challenges at the same level or even higher than you could have. So again, what I said earlier, for you to be able to develop that trust that enables you to really shift responsibility, it's essential for you that you can see that they make the right decisions, that they will bring the right problems to you, and they'll ask questions when they really need to. Because part of that means you have to teach them what it truly means when there's an emergency, what an emergency really looks like, what it means to ask 3 before they ask me, right? So this is kind of like, when there's a challenge, you don't want them immediately running to you. You want them to become internally resourced so they understand how to solve their own problem. So that means consulting their peers, consulting other people on the team who could help them solve the problem, going outside to get more resources. And they only really approach you when there's no other choice. But they have to know when that is. And if you can trust them to know when that is, that's when you can trust them to make their own decisions. And you also have to be able to trust them that they will fess up when something didn't go right, and they will ask for help, so that we don't have a giant incidents because they just didn't want to come to you. So now we have clearly defined roles. Now you can inspire having that self-led culture. That means you are gaining massive amounts of time back, and also massive amount of bandwidth, which means you can be more creative, you can be more strategic, you can involve your time in where you should be. So you can reinvest that time that you're gaining in planning strategic initiatives and really focusing on growth is where you want to be. So this is where you get to leverage and multiply your output versus, when it was just pretty much all on you. Now you have all these extensions of you, aka your team, who are executing at almost the same level or even better than you would have been, because now they're becoming experts in their own right, because you are their mentor, you're their coach, you're their trainer, versus the person who just tells them what to do. So this is really where you become the passenger and they become the drivers in the right things. So once you reinvent delegation in the way that we just talked about, the possibilities are truly endless. No more micromanaging, you're developing your dream team, and the team really grows your success. The team can now build your vision for you without you as the central pressure point. So you're not the bottleneck anymore, and now you have unlimited possibilities for expansion. So I hope this helped. Go through this again. Every time you want to jump in and solve problems, really ask yourself, hey, what would a leader do? What would it mean to transfer more responsibility? What do I need to do? How do I need to train my team so I feel comfortable doing that, even though it's a challenge, so that you can truly free up your time and your bandwidth to focus on the more strategic stuff. So I hope this helped. Check out our brand new training that's out there. We just put it out, bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap, bulletproofbusinessgrowth.com/leap. Check out that training, and I will see you next time.